to the true business at hand. We're going to get to the UFC on Fox 6 preview. Great card. Again, part of the UFC's business plan seems to be to put the lighter weight guys in the main event, fighting for belts to give them greater exposure, and bigger name guys on the undercard to kind of draw eyes. The Anthony Pettis and Donald Cerrone's, the Rampages. They get you to the card, and then you stick around for Dodson and Demetrius Johnson. So let's run down this just off the top of your head. Just give me some abstract thoughts about this card.
I think it's a great card. Has all the intention to be one of the best cards of the year. With I'm a huge fan of the flyweights. I think they're quick. I think they always are moving. They're always trying to implement their game plan. You don't really see any standing around. They're flying around the ring. I really like it. And it's a good matchup. There's some good fights on there. Quentin Jackson, Rampage is coming up, and he's just pissed off at the world. He's ready to get one foot out the door with the UFC. I think he's really training hard, so we might see, that brutal Rampage that we saw coming over from Pride, right? And Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis, I don't even have to speak about that one. Everybody knows or is already claiming fight of the night on that. So it's a great card. I think it'd be one of the better ones this year.
I agree, and we've already talked about in the past that they stack these cards because they want the Fox cards to be successful, and they want that brand, which is great for fight fans. I mean, you're going to get a lot of free fights that are spectacular. I mean, this is obviously a pay-per-view quality card. You're getting it for free on Fox, so we've talked in the past about fans complaining about however much pay-per-views are. I mean, you get more free fights with the UFC than anybody, so that's great. Okay, so let's get into the particulars. We're going to start, as we always do, with the main event. The main event is flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson putting his belt on the line against John Dodson, who is a Ultimate Fighter winner. Heavy hands for a flyweight. Let me get your thoughts on this fight between Johnson and actually, before you do that, let's go ahead and hit the tail tape real quick. Johnson's 16-2. Dodson's 14-5. Height, that's pretty negligible. They're both 5'3". Obviously, they're both the same weight. They're in the same weight class, both 125 pounds. 66-inch reach for the both of them. Johnson, who is the champ, is actually 2 years younger than Dodson, and they both fight orthodox. So let me get your thoughts on this fight.
It's going to be a great fight. You have, like you said, Dodson is that knockout power, but Mighty Mouse, man, he's really got some quickness that can't even be explained. He can move in and out. He can take you down. And then it's amazing how he can take you down, land some punches, and damn, he's out on his feet again, standing up on the stand-up game, and then take you down again. It's just, he's lightning quick. So it's speed for speed. I'm going to have to give it to Demetrius. I think he's a little bit faster. But Dodson has that knockout power, man. And if he gets caught, it could be a change of belt tomorrow night.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing about Dodson that's crazy is that, and I don't know, it's not like flyweights have better chins than anybody else. I mean, the thought is that no one in the flyweight division has power, so that's why there's not a lot of knockouts. But John Dodson certainly does. He's got that one hitter quitter type power. Now, in terms of the thing that does scare me about this fight for Dodson, and you're going to go through this when guys are coming up the ranks, is that who he's fought. So his last 3 fights were wins over De Silva, Elliott, and Dillashaw, whereas Demetrius Johnson has beat Benavidez, beat McCall, had a draw with McCall, lost to Dominic Cruz, and then beat Torres. So obviously he's
Cruz and then he won against Torres. We're in a whole different weight class too.
Right, and but I think that he's obviously faced better competition. Do you think that's going to be a factor in the fact that Dodson's now finally stepping up on the main stage? I mean, his last fight wasn't exactly what you would have called a number one contender fight where either guy could come out of it. He just looked impressive, so they gave him a shot. So he really hasn't. This is his first major guy he's ever fought, probably.
Oh yeah, it's a big step up and matchup for Dodson, and I think he'll be able to handle it fine because he's really quick. He's got knockout power. I think he can handle the matchup just fine. It's just I don't see anybody in the flyweight division that can really step up with Demetrius right now. There's not anybody that's even close. I think that can match his speed and his agility.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go ahead and make our picks. Let's make it official. So you seem like you're leaning towards Demetrius Johnson. So go ahead and let's just make a call.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Demetrius on this one. I think he's just too quick for him, and ultimately keeps his belt.
I agree. I am concerned with Dodson's power. I think that Demetrius Johnson's game is that I'm just going to outwork you for 5 rounds, and you're never. I'm going to take you down, and this, that, and the other. Dodson is really a world class wrestler, and what the word on the street is about him is that he doesn't really use his wrestling for takedown purposes. He just uses it to keep it on the feet. If that's the case. Could be problematic for Demetrius Johnson. So, I'm gonna take Demetrius Johnson hesitantly because I think that it's going to be a situation like the GSP just found recently with Condit. He's going to outclass Dodson, but he might get caught. He may have to face him adversity. So, okay, next up we got what would be potentially a main event on a lot of other cards. Quentin Rampage Jackson in his final fight with the UFC. Contractually, he may sign a new contract and come back. Fighting Glover Teixeira. There's been an exchange of words. We talked about it in head games. They're kind of, these guys aren't huge fans of each other. It was very tense in the weigh-in. Let me get your thoughts on this fight.
If you have to base it off the last couple of fights, Rampage really just wasn't himself, and if that Rampage shows up, Glover's going to be able to implement his game plan and maybe taking him down or even stand up and then moving in close to take shots. Glover has some serious power in those short shots of his, which could be trouble for Quentin. But, Rampage came in 204. He looks good. He's cut. He says he's the best shape he's ever been in. And he hasn't really you haven't really seen a lot of him through this training camp. Like, they followed him and everything. But it just seems like his state of mind was a little bit different in this. So I'm excited about it. And I honestly think, when you got something to prove and you're on your way out the door somewhere and you want to just give a big fuck you to somebody, you're going to bring your A game. And I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow.
I agree with everything you just said. And one of the things this week that's been kind of a point of contention for Rampage is that, he's complaining about the UFC's treatment of fighters. So Dana White comes back and says, Rampage has made $15 million since 2007 when he joined the UFC. And you said that Rampage is coming into this fight in the best shape, saying he's coming into this fight in the best shape of his life. And if I had a nickel for every time Rampage Jackson said he was in the best shape of his life before a fight, I could pay him that $15 million that he's gotten since 2007 because that's his thing. That's what he says. And sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. I would expect nothing less from a fighter than to tell me that we're going to see the best Rampage Jackson ever, and not necessarily be the truth. But just don't say it because I'm starting to he's the boy that cried best shape of my life. Yeah. And I'm just not, when I hear it now, it doesn't hold as much weight. So let's shoot down the tail of the tape real quick. There's really, I'm looking on fight metrics for my tail of tape, and there's a really telling stat here that I want to talk to you about. Anyway, 32-10 for Rampage Jackson is the record, 19-2 for Glover Teixeira. Height, Rampage is 6'1", Glover 6'2". Both obviously 205. Rampage came in at 204 in the weigh-in. 73-inch reach for Rampage, 76-inch reach for Glover. It's kind of negligible. Rampage throws, haymakers anyway and hooks. So, he might get two-piece down the middle by Glover, but whatever. They both fight orthodox. And Rampage is 34 and Glover's 33. Now, as far as competition, it's nowhere near it. I mean, Rampage fought every killer there was in Pride. He's fought nothing but studs in the UFC. Worst fighter he's fought in the last 3 years is probably Matt Hamill. Beat Machida, lost to Bader and Jones in his most recent 2 fights. Beat Hamill the fight before, beat Machida the fight before that, and then lost to Rashad, which is, just so you know, since it's Rampage's last fight, I'm rocking our Rampage Rashad t-shirt from the fight that we went to, 114, which did not live up to the hype, which a lot of Rampage fights don't live up to the hype. But the reason why I brought up his recent fights, and I'll talk about Glover's, he defeated Maldonado and defeated Kingsbury, is that this is a huge step up for Glover as well. So Glover's in a similar situation to John Dodson. He's out there, he's crushing people, but they're not the guys, they're not marquee guys. I mean, Rampage is knocked out Vanderlei Silva and Chuck Liddell. Glover Teixeira has never even fought a Vanderlei Silva or Chuck Liddell, much less knocked him out. So I don't know. I mean, can Glover step up? But the stat I want to talk about real quick and get your thoughts on is the average fight time. Average fight time for Glover Teixeira is 3 minutes 58 seconds. Average fight time for Rampage Jackson, 10 minutes 53 seconds. So he's not finishing like he once did, and he's going long. So does that play anything into what you think in terms of who has better cardio? Should this fight go 3 rounds?
I mean, I don't know what kind of ultimately it's probably going to come down to some cardio. Nobody's really taken out Rampage. Nobody's really knocked him out. But for Glover, it's a step up in competition. He's never fought anybody like Rampage, that kind of power, that kind of experience. So, I'm worried about what those kind of nerves are going to be when he walks in the ring on Saturday, because that can get under your skin a little bit too. He's in front of a big crowd. He's on the main stage. He's a co-main event. And now you're fighting Rampage, who just got up all in your fucking face at the weigh-in. So I'm sure he's going to use that to pump him up a little bit. But it's a different animal when you come walking down that when your music starts blaring and you're walking down that aisle. It's a little bit different game at that. You know what I mean? So
that's true. Yeah. Well, Rampage Jackson staring you down at in the weigh-ins is one thing. Rampage Jackson staring you down in the octagon is another. Because exactly. you're about to face him. So for me, yeah, I don't know, man. What I told you before, that like guys like Shogun and Vitor have only ever lost to studs. Rampage isn't really that guy, because Rampage, he's lost to Forrest, which we can argue whether or not Forrest is a stud, and he's lost to Bader. And Rampage has this thing where he gets just outworked and outpointed by guys because he gets lazy. He looks for that one hit, that's gonna call for the check, and sometimes he'll lose a fight because he just doesn't. Shogun's gonna win rounds. Vitor's gonna win rounds if need be. They're gonna outwork you. They're gonna do what they got to do to win.
Look at
Rampage isn't built that way.
Yeah, and if you look at Rampage, look at those guys he's lost to: Evans, Jones, Bader. Wrestlers, good wrestling skills. You get him down and you can take him out. If he gets back up, you got to be a little bit worried about it. I mean, Hamill's a good wrestler too, but not in the class of those other 3 guys. So, I mean, Forrest kind of just beat him up from leg kicks. But other than that, from what he's lost to, are guys that that have great wrestling skills, that can take him down and work the ground and not let him up and work the ground pounding, and you just wear him down. I think his cardio has been a little question, especially going on and later in fights. But, if Glover is really working on the takedown and can get him down on the ground, it might be a long night for Rampage.
Well, and this is a story with some guys. They fall in love with knocking guys out, and they go away from Rampage used to be a hell of a wrestler in prime. Yep. And he's, he gets to the UFC, knocks Chuck Liddell out, and then starts to go on a run where he's just taking guys out. And so he comes to the UFC, he takes out Marvin Eastman, takes out Chuck Liddell, decisions Henderson. Loses to Griffin with those notorious leg kicks that who could forget, when he just got his tree trunk chopped down by Forrest Griffin. Knocks out Silva, decisions Jardine, loses a decision to Evans, and then this starts to be where his career becomes about winning or losing decisions based on how busy he's going to be. Right. Sometimes he goes for that one hit, and sometimes he'll work for it a little bit more and be in there and get busier. So give me your call on this, because a lot of pundits out there, MMA guys who claim to be in the know, are saying that, like you said, Rampage is going to use this as an opportunity to give the UFC, a big fuck you on the way out, and he's going to take Glover out. So I don't think that he could flat knock him out, but I think he could stun him and then finish him on the ground with a TKO. How do you see this fight going?
I'm probably gonna have to go with it, man. And I don't really listen. I sent you a text the other night, and I said I really lost a lot of respect because when I was watching the road leading the road to the UFC, and Rampage said something about some American fans that he doesn't like American fans. Like when he got booed for knocking out Chuck, and after that he doesn't like any American fans. Well, guess what? Some of my good friends were huge Rampage fans, and this is kind of leading up to where I hate to say it, but I think Rampage, we'll probably see a different Rampage tomorrow night. We'll probably see that killer instinct in him. I thought he looked good today at the weigh-in, and I'm gonna have to say it's either KO or TKO, and he's gonna win.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I mean, it makes for a hell of a story, and I think that would be a great way for him to leave the UFC. Comes in with a huge victory. Ironically enough, I think. Well, no, he fought Marvin Eastman, but take the Eastman thing aside, his big first major fight was Chuck Liddell, and he won the belt. So, he pretty much starts his UFC career with a defeat over Chuck Liddell, and ends it with a defeat over Glover Teixeira, who's Chuck Liddell's protege.
In that full circle.
That's a nice little bookend to a career, but I don't know, man. I just, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I just can't believe that. And listen, I'm one of those guys you're talking about that was a huge Rampage fan of your friends. Yeah. So I don't know that he's gonna bring it, man. I just think Glover's on the way up, and as much as I'd like to see Rampage just throw a left or right hook, take him out, and give me a nice in-ring howl just to shut the whole thing down. And I think that's what he wants to do. I don't know if that Rampage still exists anymore. And, the time when he could have willed himself to this sort of a victory may be long gone. So I'm going to take Glover officially, and you're going to take Rampage?
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to what everybody is calling the fight of the year, and it hasn't even fucking happened yet. Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis. A lot of bad blood, however contrived it may be on Donald Cerrone's part to get this shot. Anthony Pettis hasn't been as active as we wanted him to be in the past year, so we kind of forget that he's the guy that Showtime kicked Ben Henderson in the face. You and I were there for that as well. Pettis is the goods. He kind of had a hiccup against the career stopper, Clay Guida. But let me get your thoughts on this, and then I'll go into the tail of the tape.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great – I want to say it's going to be a great fight, and I hope it lives up to all the hype because, the last couple of fights, it's going to live up to the hype, and it really doesn't. But I think this is one that honestly is going to live up to the hype. Cowboy, Showtime, they both great styles. They're both energetic. They like to get the crowd hyped. They're just that young, new UFC type of fighter that can carry it on his back. They can carry this card on their back with just fight, and I think it's gonna be good.
I agree. It's gonna be a good fight. We'll hit the tail of tape in a second. I tweeted something out the other day, and I'm gonna put you on the spot here, just real quickly. It's not even a huge thing, but I tweeted this out to ask the fans this: when it's all said and done, who do you think has a more impressive career, the Diaz brothers or the Pettis brothers? Because Sergio Pettis is only 19, but they're saying he's a big deal. So let me get your call on who you think is going to have a better career, the Pettis or the Diaz brothers. And how do you even say that? Do you say the Peti or do you say the Pettises?
The Pettises, the Peti. I'm gonna have to say the Diaz brothers. I mean, both of them, they're both gamers. They'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. And I'm saying Pettis don't, but his brother's still young. So at this moment in time, I have to say it's the Diaz brothers. They both had title shots. They, one's hold the belt in Strikeforce, coming over. They like to jaw a lot. They love to fight. They're just gamers, man. And right now, I'm gonna have to go with the Diaz brothers.
All right, so let's take a look at the tail of the tape. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think Anthony Pettis is something special. And if Sergio is anything like him, because you got to understand that Nate Diaz is who he is because of Nick Diaz. Right. So if Sergio Pettis ends up being who he is because of, I guess the bigger question would be, do we think Anthony Pettis is going to be a bigger deal than Nick Diaz? And I think, there's a lot that's said about Nick Diaz, but I think if you really look at his career, he's a little bit overrated. So we'll get to that for another day. But okay, so the tail of the tape. Anthony Pettis is 15-2, whereas Donald Cerrone's 19-4. Average fight time for these guys is about the same: 9 minutes and 41 seconds for Pettis, 9:19 for Donald Cerrone. Pettis is 5'10", Cerrone's 6 foot, both 155 pounds, obviously. 72-inch reach for Pettis, 73-inch reach for Cerrone, so that's negligible. Both fight orthodox, and Pettis is 25, while Cerrone is 29. So, and real quick, last 5 fights, Pettis beat Lozon, beat Stevens, lost to Guida, beat Henderson, beat Roller. Cerrone beat Gillard, beat Stevens, lost to Diaz, beat Seaver and beat Oliveira. So, what does all that tell you? Anything?
I mean, the one with Guida Pettis, that's when Pettis got hurt, and he just didn't. I think he was going through a rough time at that time. But both of them just say they got both great wins and losses to great fighters too. So I mean, that really can't really tell you how it's gonna go tomorrow night. You can't really base it off of that. I think.
All right, so tell me how it's gonna go.
Man,
Based on
I'm a huge Cowboy fan, so that's who I'm pulling on for. I Since I've seen Donald Cerrone on the Tap Out show when it was airing, and you followed that, I've followed that kid since then. I'm a huge fan, and I think I want him to get over that hump because he's almost like a Bisping. He gets to that almost title shot, and then he breaks down. So he's gotta watch his emotions. He's got to come in relaxed. When he comes in relaxed, I don't think there's a person in that division that can beat him, honestly. So
he's legit. He's a stud.
Yeah.
I will agree with that entirely.
But Anthony Pettis too, man. That kid, he had surgery. He was injured. He's come back. I think he's 100% now. They're saying he's 100%. I think you're right. He's something special. He uses the ring like nobody uses it. I think this thing is going to go everywhere on the ground, maybe a lot of stand up, but you know who I'm pulling for.
So you're pulling for Cowboy.
I'm pulling for Cowboy.
All right, so okay, here's my view of it. The thing that interests me the most about Anthony Pettis is that we got to come up with a term for this. I'm going to call it ring balls for the purposes here. Ring balls, because here's some guys that have ring balls, in my opinion. John Jones. I think what separates John Jones is he's like, I practice this stuff in training, but I got the balls to try a spinning back elbow in a fight, and he knocked a guy out with it. I mean, it takes a special set of balls to jump off the cage and kick a guy. I mean, you got to have
foot.
Right, you got to have balls to even try that. And that's what I think. I think that he has this creativity, and he's willing to go for stuff that maybe some other guys aren't willing to go for, and that Uriah Faber used to have that in his prime, where, a guy would grab his leg, and while he was holding it, Uriah would jump up and knee him with the other leg. I mean, I just think that he has that intangible thing that, but, the Clay Guida fight lets us know that he's prone to disappointing. So I think whole package, I think this is a really even fight, and the thing I like about it is I think that these guys have what makes a great fight, in my opinion, which is they both, while they have respect for the other fighter, they both think that they're better. I could stand with this guy, he won't knock me out. I could stand with that guy, he won't knock me. They both feel that, right?
Yeah, absolutely they do. It's going to be, honestly, I'm going to have to ride the hype right now and say this is the fight of the night, could be fight of the year.
I think so too, and I think sometimes that guys don't want to necessarily. The thing I like about the lighter guys is they don't fall into that trap that sometimes the heavyweights and light heavyweights fall into, whereas they say, well, I hate this guy so much that I don't want to be embarrassed by him, so I'm going to spit like my shirt will attest to. Rampage and Rashad. That place was bananas before that fight. Remember, guys were stomping the floor. I mean, I thought that place was going to explode. And then the fight started and just didn't live up to it. Neither one of those guys wanted to be knocked out by the other.
Right, yep.
And I just think that these two guys have so much confidence. I do see in Donald Cerrone's eyes a little bit that he thinks that Anthony Pettis – I would never say fear with Cerrone because he lives that cowboy life and he means it and it's whatever. And even if he did have fear, I think once the door shut on the cage, he was just like, well, I'm here now, so – for lack of a better way of putting it, I'm sure he probably hates this term, but he just cowboys up when it's time. And, that's what I believe about Donald Cerrone. But I think these guys just have the confidence that they're both healthy and they don't think the other guy can beat them, flat out. Anthony Pettis came to, he walked into that weigh-in like he was in a goddamn Brinks truck. He looked like nothing could touch him, dude. Like no one could get to that guy. I mean, I've never seen – he walked to that thing like he was ready. And Cerrone's the same way. So if your official pick is Cerrone, I'm going to go ahead and take Showtime. I think Showtime's going to come up with something that's going to get him another,
knockout. kick of the
Well,
night.
no, move of the year. He's gonna do something crazy. Cerrone's gonna be going after him, and he's gonna I think I saw one time where he does the thing where he runs towards the cage, bounces off it, and reverse kicks back.
Yeah.
So I could see something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Pettis, make it official. I think that he wins and gets his title shot. Although I would like to see Cerrone get a shot. So it's whatever. I wouldn't be heartbroken with whoever won this fight. I just happen to think Pettis will win. So you got Cerrone?
I got Cerrone, of course.
All right.
Listen, I'm going to jump in here real quick because
go ahead.
While we're talking, I watch a lot of Twitter feeds while we're going through, and your man Sonnen just tweeted, this is the real poster of UFC 159, and it's a picture of him and Jones, but Sonnen has a belt around his shoulder.
That's funny.
It's fucking hilarious. Dude,
that guy loves to... you can't even get me started on Chael Sonnen.
I know. It's great. I mean, there's nothing even better than...
Listen, man.
Sonnen all day long.
I love him. We're going to have to do a thing, and we've talked about doing this before, where we sit down and assess Chael Sonnen strictly as a fighter and remove all the bullshit. Because I really think that he is, more than anyone ever in the history of sports, has talked himself into more fights and good fortune than anybody. Yeah, I mean, listen, he earned the rematch with Anderson. He sure did. But this fight with Jones, don't even get me started on whether or not he earned that. I mean, I could not disagree more with him having this fight, but hey, whatever. He got it, and props to him. So
yeah, he worked.
The guy loves to call himself a champ, though. He's never won shit. And I love that he calls himself champ, and I'm the real champ, and if this guy wants my belt, he can come take it. It's like you're not even the champ, dude, and you make those claims. It's just funny. All right, let's move on to the next fight. It's Eric Koch against Ricardo Lamas. Eric Koch had a shot at Jose Aldo, and lost it due to Aldo's injury and then his own. So just give me some thoughts on this fight. How do you see this one going?
As much to say, when you're fighting in your hometown, you're probably going to be a little bit more amped than you are fighting somewhere else. But I'm really going to have to go Eric. He's coming off. He was injured. He was going to get the title shot. Some other stuff happened. So, but I think he has the best. I mean, he's fighting a hometown kid, but ultimately, I think Koch just has way too much game for him.
I agree. Obviously, you don't stumble into. Now, listen, if we look at his last 5 fights, and I'll go down and tell tape here, the guy that he beat before he would have fought Jose Aldo was Jonathan Brookings. Now, he's certainly not the guy that you beat before you fight for the title.
Yeah, he didn't even want that fight.
Yeah, but and in fairness to him, if you get a title shot, you take it. But I think that it just goes to show you how thin that division is. Which,
right.
Thank God Frankie Edgar came to that division, man. That division, no one has been needed more in a division than Frankie Edgar was needed in that featherweight division, because now he puts you in a spot where guys like Koch can have time to have some people kind of develop around them, because what's Poirier fighting at now? Is he at 145 as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so if he is so if he's at 45 as well, that's what I like. If Frankie Edgar's in that division long enough for a guy like Poirier to come around. So all right, so let's hit the tape real quick. Eric Koch is 13-1. Ricardo Lamas is 12-2. Average fight time is 7:27 for Koch, 8:50 for Lamas, 5:10 for Koch, 5:8 for Lamas. Obviously, they're the same weight class, so 145 for each. 70-inch reach for Koch, 69-inch reach for Lamas. Koch is a southpaw, whereas Lamas is orthodox, and Koch is only 24, whereas Lamas is 30. So, let me know how you think this fight's going to go. I mean, Koch got a title shot, so he's clearly, head and shoulders above Lamas, or is he not?
I think it's going to be a good fight, just because Lamas is in his hometown, so he's going to be a little bit more adrenaline pumping. He's got a good game, but ultimately, I think the new breed is going to take it out. He had the title shot. He was right there. I thought he I thought he deserved the title shot, and I think this is just going to be one more win for him to get there.
And I think if he makes short work of Lamas here, I think he's going to win as well. But if he makes short work, he's got a loss on his record to Chad Mendes, so that might be a fight that he gets a chance to avenge.
Right.
And the winner gets a shot at Aldo. It'd be a second shot for Mendes, or Edgar win, but it'd be a second shot for Mendes at the belt, and then obviously Koch's first. So we both see it going the same way. Eric Koch defeating Ricardo Lamas. I think that I just think he's just too much for him. I think that it'll be first or second round, and he just kind of overwhelms with a TKO. All right, up next, if you're looking around for Ryan Bader on this card, check the prelims because that's where he's fighting. So, oh, how the mighty have fallen. 1 minute he was, a top contender for the belt. Now he's, mopping up with the janitor on the prelims.
He fought for the, I don't know. It's like.
He was right there.
Yeah.
He was one fight away from the belt pretty much.
And now, I want to pull for him. I want to say he's going to get it done. He's going to impose his will on the janitor. But, man, the janitor has some knockout power. And they stand at it. I'm going to have to go with the janitor if they keep standing. But if he gets him, it better gets him on the ground. It's nice out. It just depends on where the fight goes to. That's what's going to dictate this fight.
Yeah, and Bader's one of those guys again. He's got a case of they had Lou Gehrig's disease. I think we should call what guys like Bader have and Cerrone. That's going to be Mike. Hold on, I'm going somewhere with it. Don't you banded me too quick. You're already running for the hills, and you don't even know where I'm going with it. Okay. I think that Ryan Bader has Michael Bisping's disease, which is you get there, you get close, and then something stumbles you. And so he lost to Jones. Fair enough. But everybody loses to Jones. Then he loses to Tito. That's not acceptable. Not when you're Ryan Bader. Beat Jason Brills, beat Rampage. Okay, now we're back in this thing. Loses to Machida, which fair enough. It's Machida.
It lost to Machida. He got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, I know, dude. He came. It's funny when someone does something they never do, and it's like so. My two examples here will be Ryan Bader, who for some reason is just charging at Machida like a goddamn bull and gets clipped, and the famous Chael Sonnen back fist. Spinning back fist. Like, how about the first spinning back fist you ever throw in your career? It gets missed and then you get finished. Yeah. How's that sound? So, yeah. So, I mean, again, like I said, Bader's got a case of Bisping's disease. So, what do you think that this is going to be? He should beat a guy like Matyushenko, right?
I would think so. Yes. He should beat the janitor. I love calling him the janitor, man, because when he walks out with that fucking hat, he looks like he just fucking cleaned up aisle 3 and the fucking stalls. I love it.
I love it. Dude, I love it too, and I think that, if he wins, I think the best thing that would happen, dude, is he needs to embrace it. Because Tito Ortiz, remember, he famously used to do the gravedigger? Yeah. I think that if Matyushenko knocks out, if Matyushenko knocks out Bader, he should just push broom it right behind. Just sweep his ass right up, dude. That would just make my night. If he just started I don't know if I'd rather him push broom it or have the side broom and just kind of sweep Bader's career right. If you lose to the janitor in the prelims,
you're gone.
You're in the dumpster is where the fuck you're at. He swept you up, put you in the.
Oh shit.
And that's it. It's a wrap for you. So
did you ever watch Showtime at the Apollo back in the day?
Yeah, the Sandman would come out and just sweep dudes off. That's what. Yeah. Could you imagine Matyushenko's Russian ass just shuffling like the Sandman, sweeping dudes out? That'd be awesome. All right, so we're having a lot of fun here because we think it's a no-brainer that Ryan Bader's going to take this. I mean, other than the fact that you're being humbled by having to fight Matyushenko, which I think is.
Listen, it could be the fight you need to get back your ass fucking in check. You're on the undercard, and you're not just the last fight on the undercard. Like, you're 2 or 3 into the undercard, right? There's fights above you, fights that shouldn't be above you. So if this
the beauty of Ryan Bader's fight is he's 2 fights from being on Facebook. Yes. So that's where you got to look in the mirror and you got to say, dude, I'm 2 fights from being on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but in fairness to him, all he did was lose to Machida. So I mean, he shouldn't be 2 fights from Facebook, but he is.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. So, what's funny about Matyushenko's career, though? Matyushenko's got that career where he's going to write a hell of a book someday. Because he's fought, like, Gustafsson, he's fought Jones, I think he's fought Tito, maybe Randy. Hold on, I got to make it official before I just talk out of my ass. So, Matyushenko's career, I'm telling you, dude, this guy's got one hell of a book in him. Just based on his brushes with greatness. And Ryan Bader could be another guy. All right, he's fought Gustafsson, he's fought Jones, he's fought Little Nog, fought Orlovsky, fought Pedro Hizzo, fought Tito Ortiz. So he's been in there with some guys, man. He's been in there with some guys that maybe were on their way up. I thought he fought Vera, but I guess not. Anyway, so yeah, again, slam dunk for Bader, right?
I would say it's a slam dunk, but I think he gets the win.
No, I mean, do you think he's gonna? You think it's a slam dunk that he's going to win?
No, I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I think he will. I'm saying he's win, but it's not a slam dunk because if he comes charging in like a bull, that janitor might fucking turn the lights out on him.
You think?
Yeah.
Wow, that would be very interesting if that's how that went down. I don't see it happening that way, but Okay, so is there anything else on this card that interests you? Or is that pretty much?
That's pretty much it. Clay Guida, he's always an entertaining fight. But other than that, no, that's going to be it.
All right, so then let's not waste any time and let's get right to it. I'm going to let you go first this time. Like Kanye West. I'm going to let you, Taylor, I'm going to let you finish. But Beyonce's video was the greatest of all time. So yeah. I'm going to let you go first. So let's go ahead and finish strong.
I'm excited about the fights. I'm really excited about tomorrow night. The cards, UFC moving in the direction they are. We got some good fights. The Vitor Rockhold, just fights like that. The Masasi coming over. We got some new names. We got some deeper talent pool. The fights tomorrow night are going to be good. I'm really looking forward to that Pettis Cerrone fight. I think that's going to be off the chain. It's probably going to be fight of the night. Kerry Dodson too. The Dodson and Mighty Mouse fight. I'm really excited. I like that lower weight class. I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped about tomorrow night. I'm gonna be front and center, watching them tweeting. So follow us on and then let's do it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty stoked about what the next month has in store for us. I'm super pumped about that Aldo Edgar fight. I can't wait to talk about it. But for my finish strong, I'm going to talk about something that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Dana White came out and said that Anderson Silva, and we probably should have touched on this in the flurry. He said that Anderson Silva will for sure fight George St. Pierre and John Jones before he retires. The interesting thing about that is for him to fight George St. Pierre and John Jones, you have to believe that he would lose to George St. Pierre because there'd be no reason for him to fight John Jones if he lost to St. Pierre. So right. Unless he lost, if he lost to St. Pierre, there's no John Jones fight. So you think that he's gonna defeat George St. Pierre and then ultimately fight John Jones as well. So I think that these are fights that it's a fight that has to be made. I really want to see him fight GSP. I don't want to run straight to the. As a matter of fact, I'd want to see him fight GSP or Nick Diaz. So whoever wins that, I would have no problem with the. They're talking about a welterweight tournament anyway. I think that GSP needs to just have this Nick Diaz fight and then just vacate the belt and start becoming a 185 pounder, and moving forward with that. I think he needs to fight Anderson Silva, make his money. If you get destroyed, there's no shame in it. You're one of many that's happened to. So just get on with it. For me, I think that I'm really excited about the super fights moving forward, and I think that it's time to get. Should he beat Nick Diaz? I think it's time. I think Anderson Silva should fight the winner of Nick Diaz and GSP because I'm not really interested in unless Luke Rockhold is soundly defeated by Vitor Belfort or soundly defeats Vitor Belfort. I'm really not interested in Anderson fighting anybody at 185. Are you?
Not really. You like the GSP fight, and I like the Jones fight. That's where we stand. I think the body matchups are better to see a Silva Jones fight. I think he's too big to fight GSP, especially when they put that weight up. It's just going to be golden like that.
I agree. The only reason why I'd rather watch him fight GSP is I'm like Dana White. I think he'll beat GSP, and I want to see. Then I'll still get the Jones fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. So for John Franklin, this is TJ Craig. We'll see you at the fights. Keep your chin down and your hands up. We'll see you next week.
All right.